to get you ready for the game.
This is well struck, and it is gone. Andrew Vaughn, a 3-run homer.
Welcome to the Baseball Pregame Show, presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Tonight, Milwaukee hosts Aaron Judge and New York.
Sal Frelick burning around third. There will be no play. It's another double for Jackson Churio.
We'll preview tonight's matchup on the mound.
Excited. I think that's the easiest way to put it.
Thoughts on the lineup?
Yeah, we got a good lineup. We got guys who are going to get on base, steal bases, play good defense.
And all of the storylines heading into tonight's game.
This is hit a ton. It is back, and it is off the wall. Jackson Churio digs into second base, and welcome back, Jack. He's got a double.
So let's get to it.
I mean, we have the best fans in the world.
Here's your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
And a good Friday night to you as we get you set for Brewers and Yankees. It is a interleague weekend at American Family Field, and boy, it's always fun when the Yankees are in town. They come in every other year, haven't been here since 2024, and it's exciting when Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger and company come into American Family Field. Jazz Chisholm will get to the full lineup in just a matter of moments. Good to have you along with me. Good to be back in the chair. Thanks to Dave Gasper for filling in a couple of days while I was out, and excited to be back and give you everything you need to know before the Brewers take on the Yankees tonight at 6:40 at American Family Field. Here's how tonight's show will go. We'll get you the lineup here in just a moment. We'll talk a little bit about the impact that Jackson Churio and Andrew Vaughn will have on the lineup. Hint, hint, they're both in the lineup tonight. They're facing lefty Max Fried, so that's going to make a lot of sense that both of those righties are in the lineup. And Jacob Mizorowski going for the Crew. We'll get into the pitching matchup, dive deeper into those two coming up in a little while. But again, talking about the impact of Churio and Vaughn in the lineup. Then we'll also get into how the Yankees and Brewers are actually maybe more similar than we think, despite the discrepancy in record. The Yankees are 26-12 on the season. The Brewers are 19-16. And then in the second segment, we're going to dedicate it all to the two honorees of the night. What do I mean by that? CC Sabathia and Dave Parker, both being inducted into the Wall of Honor for the Milwaukee Brewers. And they had a press conference this afternoon, and I want to share some of that sound with you because I think it's really fun to listen to and go back down memory lane, especially with CC Sabathia. Dave Parker has passed, so his son, Dave Parker II, was there. We'll hear from him a little bit. Also hear from CC Sabathia, his induction speech, and also GM Doug Melvin, who was, of course, the GM that made the trade that brought CC Sabathia to the Milwaukee Brewers. He was there today, and we'll hear from him as well. So that's all coming up in about 15, 20 minutes. So stick around for that. And then, of course, we'll wrap up with our fast facts of the evening and want to hear from you on YouTube, Facebook, and X. With some, feel free with your comments, questions, what have you. We'll also get to the news of the day and anything Pat Murphy had to say as well. The only transaction of the day was Greg Jones. He cleared waivers and has been outrighted to AAA Nashville. So he goes back to Nashville, designated for assignment. And then if he clears waivers, they can put him back with the Nashville squad. And that's exactly what he did, what the Brewers did. So again, Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Crew tonight, 2-2 with a 2.84 ERA. Max Fried on the mound for the Yankees, 4-1 with a 2.39 ERA. Going to be a dandy of a pitching matchup. And let's start, like we always start, with the lineups for both of these clubs. And let's start with the visiting New York Yankees, who come in with a record, as I mentioned, of 26-12. Yeah, they've had a good start to the season, and it makes sense they're the Yankees, right? New York. Makes a lot of sense. But let's go through their lineup. Leading off in center field, the former Brewer, Trent Grisham. Batting second at first base is Ben Rice. Batting third in right field, Aaron Judge. The cleanup hitter, left fielder, Cody Bellinger. Batting fifth at second base, Jazz Chisholm Jr. The DH tonight is Spencer Jones. More on him in a bit as well. Batting seventh at shortstop, Jose Caballero. Batting eighth and behind the plate, Austin Wells. And at third base, and batting ninth is Ryan McMahon. For the Yankees, it's Grisham, Rice, Judge, Bellinger, Chisholm Jr., Jones, Caballero, Wells, and McMahon. For the Milwaukee Brewers, coming in with a record of 19-16 on the season, they will be, as I mentioned, led by Jacob Mizorowski on the mound. And let's get you their starting lineup here that honestly just came down in the last 10 minutes. Usually the lineups do not wait for that long to come out, but they came down here in the last 10 minutes. Let's get you what it looks like. Jackson Churio will be leading off in left field. Batting second at second base is Bryce Terang. Batting third behind the plate is William Contreras. The cleanup hitter, the DH, Gary Sanchez, who is actually a teammate of CC Sabathia. Fun fact, Gary Sanchez caught CC Sabathia's 3,000th strikeout. We'll hear more about Gary Sanchez and CC Sabathia in a little while from CC himself. Batting fifth at first base, Andrew Vaughn. Batting sixth at third base is Luis Rengifo. Batting seventh in center field, Brandon Lockridge. Batting eighth in right field, Sal Frelick. And batting ninth at shortstop is Joey Ortiz. So for the Brewers, it's Churio, Terang, Contreras, Sanchez, Vaughn, Rengifo, Lockridge, Frelick, and Ortiz. I'm telling you, when you put Churio and Vaughn in that lineup, it deepens that lineup immensely. Look at that. You got Churio leading off, then you got Terang, Contreras, Sanchez, Vaughn, Rengifo, and then Lockridge, who was honestly getting a fair amount of leadoff opportunities against lefties, is now down to your seventh hitter. And that makes, a little more sense. And Lockridge playing center field tonight, Churio in left, Mitchell in right, Frelick in right. They're playing a lefty. Good time to get Garrett Mitchell off his feet. We'll see if he maybe pinch hits later in the game, if they can knock Max Fried out of the game early. But otherwise, that is your lineup for the Milwaukee Brewers. And I talked about a little bit last night on Milwaukee Baseball Tonight. And if you missed it, just a couple of the numbers when it comes to Churio and Vaughn rejoining this lineup for the Brewers. Perkins, so Blake Perkins, Luis Matos, and Greg Jones, who are all part of AAA Nashville now, combined to hit 8 batted balls, 100 mile an hour or more, 100 plus miles an hour off the bat in 96 plate appearances. So let's say that again. 8 batted balls, 100 plus miles an hour off the bat in 96 plate appearances. So 8 and 96. Churio already has hit 6 of them in 10 plate appearances. So he only needs 2 more, and he's had 86 less plate appearances. Okay, so that's already how Churio is impacting the lineup. That from Jack Stern, a Brewer fanatic. Then you look at what the guys did, Matos, Jones, and Perkins, all combined for 39 games played, 11 hits, 6 RBI. Andrew Vaughn, Jackson Churio have played 4 games combined, 8 hits, 4 runs driven in. So you're telling me that in 35 less games, they only have 3 less hits and 2 less runs driven in. This lineup is going to look significantly different with those 2 in it, and especially on a night like tonight. Brewers right now are 25th in batting average against lefties. Why? Because 2 of their biggest right-handed bats have been out of the lineup in Jackson Churio and Andrew Vaughn. The Brewers are hitting .213 against lefties so far this season. Now, they've also hit, just get this, 3 home runs against lefties in 347 at-bats. 3 home runs, 347 at-bats. So when you think about that, you say, that doesn't seem like a lot of home runs. No, that's 29th in baseball. Only 1 team has less homers against lefties, and that's San Diego at 2. San Diego comes into Milwaukee for a series on Tuesday. But you got to think that Churio and Vaughn are going to help out those 2 numbers. The .213 batting average against lefties and the 3 home runs against lefties. Because right now the Brewers against righties are hitting .255, which is top 10 in baseball. So you have it going when you talk about how they've faced righties, and that's largely because with Churio and Vaughn out for every game except opening day when Vaughn had a couple of at-bats. Otherwise, the lefties have had to carry him. Think about it. Terang, Frelick, Mitchell, 3 lefty bat, Jake Bowers. And when they're facing lefties, inherently those guys don't hit as well against lefties. Lefties don't hit lefties as much or as well. Righties don't hit righties as well. So all things considered here, this is going to be quite a boost, and I think we're going to see it already tonight. And the Yankees are sending not 1, but 2 lefties out there this weekend. As coming up on Sunday, Carlos Rodon will make his season debut, and he is a lefty. They'll face right-hander Cam Schlittler coming up tomorrow. So I just think it's going to be very
interesting to watch how this lineup transforms with these two guys back. Now, when Christian Yelich gets back, obviously that's going to help the lineup as well, and especially against the right-handed pitchers. But when you're looking at that 213 average and those 3 home runs and 347 at-bats, I would say, yeah, I think those numbers are going to get better with Chourio and Vaughn in the lineup, and it starts tonight. How do the Yankees stack up with the Milwaukee Brewers? I know the Yankees are 7 games better, 6.5, 7 games better than the Brewers right now. And that gap may seem big. But when you look at the numbers, they're actually not that separated. It's on offense, and Pat Murphy alluded to it this afternoon when I was at the ballpark. He's like, I respect a lot of those hitters. They're the best offense in baseball so far, which you could argue yes or no. They're 12th in batting average. And let me compare Yankees versus Brewers so far this year, because I think this is not as far as we think it is. And when I read off those names, right? Aaron Judge, Cody Bellinger, Jazz Chisholm, even a Ryan McMahon who's batting 9th. Remember, he was, people maybe wanted him to play third base for the Brewers at one point and be an acquisition. Trent Grisham, Ben Rice. So the Yankees are 12th in batting average in baseball. The Brewers, 13th, right behind them. How about walks? Yankees are 2nd in baseball with 172 walks. Brewers are 3rd in baseball at 162 walks, right behind them. How about strikeouts? The Yankees strike out 10th most in baseball. Brewers 3rd least amount of strikeouts. So you're telling me 27 other teams strike out more at the plate than the Milwaukee Brewers. That's something they've done well this year at the plate, and obviously walking as well. On base percentage, the Brewers 4th in baseball. Yankees 5th in baseball. So this really isn't too far-fetched except for one number. And you ready for this number? Because I hope you're sitting down for this number, because this number might blow you out of the water a little bit here. The Yankees are number 1 in baseball in home runs. You want to know how many they've hit? 61 home runs in 38 games. So what do they average? A little less, home run a half a game. Okay. The Brewers have hit 24 home runs so far in the 2026 season through 35 games. They averaged less than a home run a game. I mean, 0.7 if my math is correct there, about. So that is staggering. Yankees, 61 home runs. Brewers, 24. Yankees have hit about 2.5 the amount of home runs that the Brewers have. That's quite something, folks. So otherwise, though, like I mentioned, the average is about the same. The amount of walks is similar. The Brewers are better at strikeouts than them. The stolen bases as well. I didn't mention that. The Yankees, 39 stolen bases. Brewers, 38 stolen bases. Both top 5 in baseball. On base percentage, the Brewers 4th in baseball. Yankees 5th. They're very similar in all those numbers except home runs. So what the Brewers need to do this weekend is limit the amount of long balls by the Bronx Bombers. They have to. And they have to hit some of their own. And I think Andrew Vaughn hitting one on Wednesday is a good thing. It's a sign of things to come when it comes to the Brewers offense with those guys in the lineup. You want Chourio to stay hot as well. He started 6 for 9 off the IL. Hey, keep it going, Jack. And then, of course, on the mound for the Brewers, if you're talking keys to the weekend here, you have 3 pitchers in Jacob Mizorowski, Kyle Harrison, and Logan Henderson, very, very young, right? You take out Brandon Woodruff from this rotation, and all of a sudden it gets pretty, pretty young. Think about it. Miz, 2nd year in the big leagues. Kyle Harrison probably has, honestly, the most big league experience in the rotation right now. He's been in and out for a few years. Logan Henderson made his debut last year. Chad Patrick made his debut last year. Brandon Sproat made his debut in late last season. Not a lot of experience, but Pat Murphy was talking about it pregame and said, but think of the potential for this rotation and these young guys. because, boy, it is sky high. I cannot wait to see Miz against the Yankees tonight, and can't wait to see Kyle Harrison against the Yankees tomorrow, and Logan Henderson against the Yankees on Sunday. Like, think about this. These are three guys who have performed really well to start the season, and excited to see what they can do tonight. Speaking of pitching, Yankees are first in baseball in ERA at 3.04. Yankees have a really good pitching staff, but the Brewers, hey, they're fifth in baseball in their ERA. You talk about injuries, you talk about young pitching staff, you talk about the bullpen being shaky, and all of that adds up, and the Brewers are still top 5 in baseball in ERA because they just don't know how to be not good at pitching. Telling you that with Chris Hook and Jim Henderson, or the H&H car wash, as Brewers manager Pat Murphy calls them. Hey, look at strikeouts as well on the pitching side of things. Yankees, 331 strikeouts as a pitching staff. Brewers, 327. I'm telling you, the records may be different, but the stats are very similar. So thinking about that, you say, well, why are the records very different? Well, a couple of reasons. One, the bullpen has coughed up some games for the Brewers. Also, home runs. As much as we want to say the Brewers can win in different ways, and they have, and they proved it last year, also hit home runs last year. Like they hit home run. They're like not hitting home runs right now. And so, not at all, but they're not hitting a lot of home runs. That needs to go up if they want to get to where they want to go. And I'm not saying that it's an end all be all for the Brewers to hit home runs, but you gotta. All right, let's get into some of these comments here. Charles got a good feeling about the game tonight. Go Brewers. I like it, Charles. It's going to be a great atmosphere tonight all weekend at American Family Field. Love when the Yankees are in town. It's always a good atmosphere. And you got CC Sabathia throwing out the first pitch tonight. It's going to be a blast. Let's see. Jordan says, I'm on a plane right now, headed to Atlanta for work. We're going to sweep the Yanks. There you go, Jordan. Well, hey, travel safely. Hopefully you can have a good weekend in Atlanta. And hopefully the work trip goes well. Let's see here. Boss Dobler says, better hide Woodford this weekend. He's a home run practice pitcher. He has given up a few. I think he has given up a few. So those are some comments coming in. Appreciate everybody commenting. YouTube, Facebook, and X. Would like to hear from you there, or on the talk and text line at 877-794-1973. When we come back, CC Sabathia, Dave Parker, both being inducted into the Wall of Honor for the Milwaukee Brewers coming up tonight. And they had a press conference this afternoon. Former Brewers GM Doug Melvin was there, who acquired CC Sabathia. We're going to hear from CC. We're going to hear from Doug Melvin, and we're going to hear from Dave Parker II, Dave Parker's son, as he passed away last year. But we'll hear from all of them coming up, including some great story. This Doug Melvin basically tells the story of acquiring CC Sabathia, and CC Sabathia talks about his time in Milwaukee and how that set him up for the rest of his career as well, and how special it was to him. That is all coming up next. Right here, it's the Baseball Pregame Show. It's presented by Import Minded. I'm Hunter Baumgardt right here on Fox Sports 920. We're getting you set for Brewers and Yankees.
ready for the game. This is the Baseball Pregame Show with Hunter Baumgardt. Presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894.
Getting you set for Brewers and Yankees over at American Family Field tonight. You're listening to the Baseball Pregame Show on WOKY AM Milwaukee. Thanks so much for listening in and getting ready for the game with us. 6:40 first pitch. Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Crew. Max Fried on the mound for the New York Yankees. We'll get into both of those pitchers and what they've done so far this season coming up here in just a little while. Want to hear from you on YouTube, Facebook, or X. If you're watching us there, you can feel free to comment or on the talk and text line as well at 877-794-1973. Okay, so Dave Parker and CC Sabathia have been inducted into the Brewers Wall of Honor this afternoon. Parker played his lone season in Milwaukee in 1990. He batted .289 with 21 home runs, 92 runs driven in, and in 157 games, he earned a Silver Slugger Award in that season. CC Sabathia, of course, was acquired via trade from Cleveland in July of 2008. He went 11-2 with a 1.65 ERA in 17 starts during his only season with the Brewers. He finished 5th in NL Cy Young Award voting that year and 6th in MVP voting. Incredible stretch that CC Sabathia had with the Milwaukee Brewers. So let's start with CC, and then we're going to hear from Dave Parker II, taking in the honor for his dad, who passed away. But let's hear from CC Sabathia. This is CC's full couple-minute acceptance speech this afternoon at American Family Field. Enjoy.
Thank you, guys. How's everybody doing? Good. I didn't know what I was going to say here today. I didn't have really much written down, but when we landed here today, I was just thinking about when I landed here that day, July 8th. I got traded on July 7th, came the next day. I remember Mark and Doug were like, hey, you can take the 4 days. You don't have to come right away. I remember I was sitting in my room. I cried so hard that night I got traded. I had never been in another organization. I didn't know if I could do it anywhere else. I had got to Cleveland when I was 17 years old, got to the big leagues when I was 20, and I had became a man there, so I didn't know if I could play anywhere else. So getting traded was tough, and I remember, again, Amber was like, these people want you there, so are you going to sit here in Cleveland and cry for 4 days, or are you going to go and pitch? And I remember I was like, nah, I remember Mark was like, I'll send the plane, you can come, and I got here on Monday night and pitched on Tuesday, and but I just remember when I landed here, I was broken. Like, I won the Cy Young year before, but I had a 6 ERA that first half. Like, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't figure anything out, and this change of scenery, this trade was huge for me. Walked into the clubhouse, first person I saw was Tony and Schrager, and saw Prince and Ricky and Dave Risky was here, one of my best friends in the world, and just forged and bonded with, my teammates, and it's like lifelong friends now. Me and Prince are still close. Me and Mike Cameron, I had seen a video of us last time I was up on this dugout, we were spraying champagne. So just to be able to come here and build those bonds in, 2.5 months is incredible. And feels good to be back here. Incredibly honored and humbled. Thank you to the Antanasio family. Thank you to Doug for trading for me and giving me this honor. But it was a short 2.5, 3 months. But I don't think I would have been able to go on and have the career I had in New York had I not been able to have this stop. Being able to come to another organization and know and be a good teammate, and it's all baseball. It's all the same. So thank you guys, and look forward to coming back here for the years to come.
There he is, CC Sabathia, accepting his induction into the Wall of Honor for the Milwaukee Brewers. And a couple things that stood out there. One is, sounded pretty emotional, obviously, when he was traded back on July 7th, 2008 from Cleveland to Milwaukee. And like he said, Cleveland grabbed him at 17 years old, and that was the only organization he knew. So you can imagine it's like, okay, what's this going to be like? I'm going to have to learn everybody, new faces, new clubhouse, new city, everything, and during a season. But it sounds like he was able to quickly switch that mentality, and all of a sudden, boom, he was lights out. This guy had 7 complete games for the Milwaukee Brewers, from July and through the end of the season. So July, August, September, 2/3 of July, August, and September. This guy had 7 complete games. Just an absolute legend. Speaking of Doug Melvin, as you heard him just thank him there. And one other thing that stood out there was saying that he doesn't think he could have had the career in New York that he had if it wasn't for the stop in Milwaukee. And I think that just absolutely propelled him. And he was not doing well in Cleveland that year. That first half, his ERA was not good, but he came into Milwaukee and just completely resurrected it. And we all know what happened from there. So let's hear Doug Melvin, the GM at the time, who acquired CC Sabathia, who you heard CC thank there. This was his story about acquiring him back in July of 2008.
But the fun part was July the 7th, 2008. No playoffs in 25, 26 years. And the one thing, to make a trade of this magnitude, you have to get permission from your owner. And I said to Mark, if we have a chance to get a big deal to help us, are we able to do that? And he gave me permission.
Just to interject, when Doug called me, I said, CC Sabathia, he's a Cy Young winner. He's going to come here?
Yes, a big deal, 6'7", a big talent. And there was another team that I do not like in our league that their ownership would not give permission. And we jumped on it early. I wanted to make the trade early so we could get as much of CC as we did, and we did ask him to do a lot. And Mark Shapiro and I worked out the deal in early July instead of waiting until the end of July. But later on, I had heard from the other GM and said I couldn't get permission from my owner. So, Mark, thank you very much for trusting us to make a deal and a transaction.
There you go. How about that little story? Also, he didn't like it. I know Dodgers, Phillies were mentioned in the final talks for CC Sabathia. I don't know if maybe the Dodgers. I don't know, but he didn't like whoever else was in the running for CC Sabathia. And I know a lot of people complain about Mark Attanasio. I think he gets too much flack. Honestly, he's been a part of the winningest era of Brewers baseball that there ever has been. He's been the owner for it. And I think that goes to show his willingness. And Matt Arnold talks about it. People in this organization, people in the organization say, and GM say, the support of Mark Attanasio and ownership has been there. And that's another example right there of those guys that, the ownership, Mark Attanasio saying, oh, let's do it. And look, another team could have gotten CC Sabathia, but ownership didn't want to do it. So it turned out to be absolutely huge. Mark Attanasio, when he was talking, his opening statement today, he was part of the press conference, and he's like, I get emotional every time I talk about it. He got choked up talking about the CC Sabathia trade because he knows how much it impacted the city and the franchise. And this team has been different since. Literally, they broke that 26-year drought. And then they got back to the postseason. And then in 2011, they go to the NLCS. And then obviously a 7-year drought, which isn't fun. But then you get to 2018. And since then, it's just been nothing but up. So that was just a turning point in the organization when they acquired him in 2008. So let's hear more of CC Sabathia because, it's always fun to hear from CC Sabathia, right? And reminisce about the good old days. So this is about 5 minutes. He met with the media, met with some of us afterwards, and just kind of answer questions about his time in Milwaukee, what he looks back on, some of the memories. So I think you're going to enjoy this about 5.5 minutes here of CC Sabathia with reporters after the press conference.
To have such an impact on the fan base here.
No, it's incredible to be able to, have an impact. But I think the fan base had an impact on me. Everywhere I go, I meet somebody from Wisconsin or somebody that's a Brewers fan, and they talk about, 2008 summer. So the impact that this organization and that this city had on me, it's been special. So it feels good to be able to go into the Wall of Honor.
I know it was a short time, but just what did your time in Milwaukee mean to you overall?
No, it was a great time. I mean, like I said up there, I bonded and forged so many great friendships in that 2 months, whether it was Ricky or Prince, Billy Hall, Corey Hart, all the guys. It was a pretty special time.
You mentioned some of that uncertainty you had after the trade. I guess just to have that kind of impact in such a short time, what did that do for you just as a baseball player?
No, it was huge for me, and I said that. Had I not come here, I think I would have had a tougher time that first year, going to New York. I had never played in a different organization, but being able to come here and kind of get my feet wet somewhere else besides Cleveland definitely helped me to be able to go on in my career.
Wearing Gary's 99 jersey, what made you decide to do that?
He called my 3,000 strikeout. So hopefully he'll catch a pitch tonight, and I just wanted to honor him, one of my teammates.
On that line, they called you a first ballot Hall of Fame teammate. What was it about being a good teammate that was so important to you?
I think it was just something that, coming from the Cleveland organization, that was something that was just instilled in us. I think, when I think about, my earliest, teammates that I thought about, wanting to be like, it was Jim Thome, it was Robbie Alomar, it was, Ellis Burks had a huge impact on me. So just kind of taking, what they taught me and just kind of, taking that throughout my whole career.
You had a lot of great moments, down the stretch there that season. Obviously, game 162, the biggest. What, are there others that stick out the most to you as your favorites?
Probably the no-hitter that we didn't get in Pittsburgh. Kendall was pissed about that, but he put so much into all of my starts. Him and Mike Maddox, and I probably shook him off maybe once or twice the whole time I was here. So I didn't even realize that we had pitched such a good game. It was just another day for me. And then he came in, he was like, "Oh, that was a no-hitter." So that was probably just the most, one of the most memorable, times after the game.
What made you so willing to accept that heavy workload, pitching on 3 days rest continually, knowing your contract was up, you're going to be a free agent?
I didn't want the season to end. I was having fun, man, and there was nobody else to pitch. Sheeter had got hurt. Yo was coming off the ankle, or I think his knee. He had tore his ACL. I was available. I was healthy, 28 years old. Like, why not? I was having so much fun with this team. I just didn't want the season to end.
You said you didn't feel the pressure of trying to change the culture in that sense, but just to hear the owners say that, teammates say that, to have that kind of impact, was that just the reaction to hearing?
No, it's awesome. To like I said, I didn't come here to change the culture. I thought the culture was already good. It was just, we needed a direction to start going up and not, thinking about losing. So to have that, be how they feel about me coming here, it's a great feeling.
What's it like to have a legacy with just 2.5 months, but it's such a lasting legacy here? I mean, what is that like?
Yeah, no, like I said, everywhere I go, once a day somebody comes up to me and talks about, the run that I had with the Brewers. So, it just feels right. It feels good to be a part of this family. It feels good to be a part of this organization. And, it's awesome to be in the Wall of Fame at, Jacobs, or what is it, Progressive Field now, here, and then in Monument Park. It's a blessing.
What do you remember about sending the Brewers to the playoffs the first time in 26 years, that moment? What did it feel like?
I remember when Derek Lee hit that ball, I thought it was a base hit. That's why I turned around so quick. In that last game, I just remember just wanting to get through that last inning. I think Bronny hit a big home run, kind of leading up to that, and I just wanted to try to, finish the game.
That video is kind of maybe one of the more famous Brewers moment videos. How much did you kind of just think about that yourself?
It was one of my biggest moments of my career too. And even if you just see after the way Prince was I don't even remember him slapping me in the face like that. It was just, our celebrations after games, untucking our jerseys, me jumping on his back, we had a lot of fun, man. That was a great 2.5 months.
Was there a moment where that moment kind of sunk into you of how much it meant to this city and this fan base?
Not until after I retired, not until after I was kind of done, because it's all just a part of what we do, right? We're just trying to get to the playoffs, but to have the support of the city and the way the people showed up, the fans showed up that year was awesome.
What emotions hit you when you walked in the stadium today?
I just felt like I said, when I remember when I came here, I was broke. I didn't know how I was going to go. I was scared. I didn't know if I was going to be able to pitch in a different organization. I didn't know if my stuff was still good. But like I said, when I walked in the clubhouse, all of that went away. Just seeing the guys and being a part of being part of the team.
There he is, CC Sabathia, talking today as he's inducted into the Wall of Honor. and he officially has been. Just saw the Brewers post that he's officially in the Wall of Honor, as that is, you can see that outside of American Family Field. And CC Sabathia saying on Twitter earlier today, didn't matter that it was a contract year. All I cared about was the postseason and leaving it all on the field. I'll always cherish my chapter with the Brewers, and now forever being a part of the Wall of Honor. So that is just outstanding. I mean, it's rare in sports that you can have that type of impact in that little time, right? You think of legends in history of sports, and almost always it is because of the longevity in which they were with the team, right? Giannis will always be a legend, of course, because he won a title and because of how long he was with the team. You think of guys, whoever it is, Bart Starr, Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, whatever it is. Reggie White could be a little more in it because it wasn't, his entire career by any means. And there were others who are legends who maybe didn't spend their entire career, and obviously Favre and Rodgers didn't spend their entire career, but this was just different. It's 2.5 months. It's less than a half of a season that he was with the Brewers. And it's 17 starts. And that's because he was pitching on 3 days rest a lot of the time. So he was going and going and going. And again, he credits that time in Milwaukee as setting up for what he could do in New York. So cool to have CC back in the house tonight. He's going to be throwing out the first pitch in a little while here, and he's now in the Wall of Honor. If you want to see more video from today, check out my Twitter at Hunter B on Air. You can follow me on all socials for that. Have you covered with the Brewers throughout the season. Hunter B on Air. All right, the other honoree in the Wall of Honor tonight is Dave Parker, and he played with the Brewers, as I mentioned, back in 1990, and his son was the one to accept the induction today on the behalf of the late Dave Parker. This is what Dave Parker II, his son, had to say about his time in Milwaukee. For those of you who are old enough to remember Dave Parker in a Brewers uniform, of course, he played with the Pirates for a really long time. And then he had 1 year where he won a Silver Slugger Award and played well in Milwaukee. And his son here was 6 years old, and he reminisces a little bit about the time in Milwaukee and some of the other guys, the Robin Younts, the Paul Molliters that were on that team. So take a listen, about 2.5 minutes of Dave Parker II with reporters here this afternoon.
It's absolutely an honor, just being through the last things I've been over the couple years and just losing him last year. It's bittersweet, just he couldn't be here to enjoy these things, but we're going to try to have a ball for him, because that's exactly what he wants us to do. And I know he deserved everything that's coming to him, so it's really an honor for him.
How much would this night mean to him?
It meant a lot. He would have probably been joking and laughing, but he knew it was coming to him. With me talking to him within the last year of his life and back and forth to the hospital and stuff, he knew all this stuff was coming to him. He just wanted us to enjoy it for him.
How rewarding is it for you that in a year your daddy made this much of an impact on this organization?
And to be honest, I was 6 years old. So just finding out about a lot of things about my dad, it's heartwarming. He made the All-Star team. He was a Silver Slugger, the only All-Star player on the Brewers that year. So at 39, it really means a lot to see how much he wanted to, more like how much he put into the work of the game, being at 39. So that means a lot to me.
Is it your son?
No, it's actually my sister's son. It's my nephew.
Yeah.
He's 19. He's a football stud. So, we're going to see what he's got at this baseball stuff. He said he's got a cannon, so we're going to see tonight.
What do you remember of your dad playing as you were growing up? I mean, obviously he was at the end of his career when he was here, but do you remember much?
More like being in the locker rooms, and it was so funny, I remember certain things that's going on, but I was just talking to Mr. Tony earlier. He remembers running down them steps at the other field. So it's just little things of that nature, being on the field with him. And I remember a lot in Oakland, not because I was younger than that. It was just because he went through so much up there, with the World Series and the big earthquake that happened during the World Series. So I do remember a lot of things of that nature. But I do remember being here because he always was messing with Greg. He was always messing with Greg and Gary all the time, talking to them like he talks to me. So that was pretty cool to remember.
How would he speak about his time with the Brewers?
He would talk bad about them, but at the same time it'd be good things. You know what I mean? Especially Gary and Greg. And Mr. Robin Yan, I just seen him a couple years ago at an autograph signing, and him and my dad were like peas in the pod. Like, they were like brothers from another mother. So, I think he would have loved his time here, and he did actually love his time here. But he would be doing a lot of joning with the boys. I tell you that right now.
There you go, Dave Barker II. Great to hear from him as well, reminiscing, talking about Greg Vaughn or Gary Sheffield, some of the younger guys who were on that team, saying he would talk to them like he talks to him, his son. So really neat and glad that his family could be here for this and accept it in his honor. And going to be really neat when in about 25 minutes or so, we have a couple of ceremonial first pitches over at American Family Field. Okay. When we return, we are going to get back into tonight's game, Brewers and Yankees, dig into Jacob Mizrowski and Max Fried, tonight's starting pitchers, and also get you a couple updates from Pat Murphy's desk today, including a positive update on Christian Yelich. That is coming up next. It's the Baseball Pregame Show, getting you set for Brewers and Yankees at American Family Field. It's presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. We'll be right back on Fox Sports 920.
Welcome back to the Baseball Pregame Show on Fox Sports 920. Presented by Import Minded, your trusted choice for exceptional vehicle care on South 27th, just north of 894. Here's your host, Hunter Baumgardt.
Final couple of minutes of the show here tonight, getting you set for Brewers and Yankees. Brewers 19-16, Yankees 26-12. Couple of injury updates from the desk of Brewers manager Pat Murphy. Let's start with Brandon Woodruff. He plays catch tomorrow. That's the plan after having a little cyst aspirated in his shoulder. Then it would be a bullpen after that, 3 to 4 inning sim game. He said, quote, "The way I want to do it is because I'm in a good spot as quickly as possible. Get right back in that rotation," basically, is what he was saying. So he wants to try to do it as fast as possible. And Pat Murphy saying to us earlier today that it doesn't sound like it's going to take too long to build him back up and get him ready. Now, Quinn Priester said because he's dealing with a nerve issue, his command has been lagging in the minors. He said, quote, "But every start, the velo strikes, we're getting a little better. I feel like everything is moving in the right direction. It just might be a little bit slower." So Pat Murphy kind of alluded to the same thing. When you have this nerve injury, it's tough to kind of keep that feel for pitching. And a lot of what pitchers do with their arm and their hand and everything is feel. And so it might be a little longer, late May, early June, I'm thinking, for Quinn Priester. Now, Christian Yelich, could he be back this homestand, which would mean in the next week? He could, Pat Murphy said. He said it is possible that he's back this homestand. He said he does think he's going to come back relatively soon. So he used the word soon a lot with us. Now he does that from time to time. He likes that word. But he said, quote, "I think he'll be ready soon." So we'll see, but positive news on Christian Yelich there. We'll get to the lineups and pitching matchup in just a moment. Before we go any further, I want to say a quick shout out and a happy 80th birthday today to my Auntie Karen. And she is celebrating her 80th birthday. We're going to celebrate with her tomorrow. Really excited for that. And she and my Uncle Dick and their son Joey have been super supportive of me, of my career throughout so far. And I'll tell you, one of the career highlights that I have is having them in studio last year and one time the year before as well, having them in studio for a show that I did and getting kind of to show them around and everything. So I wanted to give them a shout out and Auntie Karen a happy 80th birthday today. Cannot wait to celebrate tomorrow. So wanted to give all three of those special people a shout out, and especially Auntie Karen on her birthday. Okay, let's get to the lineups here one more time. Want to give you the lineups before we go in case you missed them earlier. Let's start with your New York Yankees. Well, they're not maybe your New York Yankees, unless you're a Yankees fan that are listening right now. Then they're your New York Yankees. Otherwise, they're somebody else's New York Yankees. Batting first in center field, Trent Grisham, the former Brewer. Batting second at first base, Ben Rice. Batting third in right field, Aaron Judge. Cleanup hitter, left fielder, Cody Bellinger. Batting fifth at second base, Jazz Chisholm Jr. Batting sixth, the DH, making his major league debut, Spencer Jones. Batting seventh at shortstop, Jose Caballero. Batting eighth behind the plate is Austin Wells, and batting ninth at third base is Ryan McMahon. For the Yankees, it's Grisham, Rice, Judge, Bellinger, Chisholm Jr., Jones, Caballero, Wells, and McMahon. Now for the Milwaukee Brewers here tonight, leading off in left field, Jackson Chourio. Batting second at second base, Bryce Terang. Batting third and behind the plate is William Contreras. Batting, the cleanup hitter, the DH, Gary Sanchez. Batting fifth at first base is Andrew Bond. Batting sixth and at third base is Luis Rengifo. Batting seventh in center field, Brandon Lockridge. Batting eighth in right field is Sal Frelick. And batting ninth at shortstop is Joey Ortiz. For the Brewers, it's Chourio, Terang, Contreras, Sanchez, Vaughn, Rengifo, Lockridge, Frelick, and Ortiz. Jacob Mizorowski on the mound for the Crew tonight. He comes in with a record of 2-2 and a 2.84 ERA. His last time out last Friday in Washington, exceptional. He didn't even allow a hit in the start. 5 1/3. Unfortunately, had to exit due to a hamstring cramp, but he is good to go. He was scheduled to actually start on Wednesday, but because of the rainout on Tuesday in St. Louis, he was able to get an extra 48 hours plus of rest, which it could not hurt, I'm sure. So looking forward to him being on the mound in a matter of minutes at American Family Field
He's gone at least 5 innings in all 7 of his starts this season. He's also had a couple of 6-inning starts as well. And he's not allowed more than 3 earned runs in a start yet. And he's only done that twice in those 7 starts. He also has 8+ strikeouts, 8 or more strikeouts in 6 of his 7 starts so far this season. And coming into today, he's 3rd in all of baseball in strikeouts with 59. The top number is 60, so he's 1 off the pace. Now let's check in on Max Fried, who is the starting pitcher for the Yankees tonight. He is a lefty for the Yankees. He is 4-1 with a 2.39 ERA. He has been pretty darn good so far this season. His last time out was a decent start, 5 1/3, with 3 earned runs given up, 3 walks, 6 Ks. He pitched May 3rd against Baltimore. In 8 starts, he's given up 3 earned runs in 4 of them, and he's given up no earned runs in the others. So it's kind of been all or nothing for him. And so when it comes to Max Fried, his best start was against Boston on April 22nd. And that was 8 innings of shutout ball with 9 Ks. And so when you think about that, that's pretty good. 8 innings of shutout ball with 9 strikeouts. So what do you got to do against Max Fried? You got to hit better against lefties than you have so far this season. The Brewers, as I mentioned earlier, batting .213 against lefties with just 3 home runs in 347 at-bats. That specifically has to get better. How will that get better? How about Jackson Chourio back in the lineup and leading off tonight? 6 for 9 with 3 doubles and an RBI so far in his 2 games back. And then, of course, Andrew Vaughn is going to help that as well. So looking forward to this matchup this weekend. Hope you're able to get out to the ballpark. We got Mother's Day on Sunday. A happy Mother's Day to all the moms listening, and my mom, Stacy, as well. Looking forward to celebrating you on Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. And so it's going to be a great weekend at the park. Always fun when the Yankees come into town. And how about this home schedule for the Brewers this month? You got the Yankees, then the Padres, then the Dodgers, and the Cardinals. How about that for a matchup laden month here at American Family Field? Thank you so much for listening so far here throughout the season. Looking forward to being back with you. Our next show is going to be our baseball pregame show on Tuesday before the Brewers take on the Padres at American Family Field. And that series opener, that'll be Tuesday. Follow at Hunter Be On Air and follow us on Twitter as well at FSRWI. FSRWI, because that is where you can find Brewers coverage as well. And looking forward to being at the ballpark. Thanks so much for listening. Have a wonderful weekend. See if the Brewers can take the series against the Yankees this weekend, starting with the Miz tonight. This has been the Baseball Pregame Show presented by Import Minded right here on Fox Sports 920.